Sweeping changes to marriage in America while Obamacare is still intact. This week, the Supreme Court announced two huge controversial rulings that could continue to affect the political process and the debate in Washington. Speaking of Washington, joining us now from that locale, Newsmax Washington, our chief political columnist and White House correspondent, John Gizzi. John, the Supreme Court has surprised before. Were you surprised with those rulings this week?
I was surprised at the former, the King v. Burwell case that upheld the subsidies for Obamacare by 6-3. Far less surprised at the decision today, 5-4, making same-sex marriage the law of the land, and in the process overriding many of the initiatives that were passed in individual states, among them Wisconsin and Ohio, that said marriage was between a man and a woman. It was long expected. It was considered something that would take a lot of pressure off Republicans to have to keep discussing the issue, and it came down just the way people thought, 5-4.
So that decision has been made, but when it comes to Obamacare, we heard Ted Cruz take to the floor of the Senate. Obamacare remains something that the legislative branch at least wants to deal with symbolically, because President Obama is going to veto anything they send up there. Will they continue to vote to repeal Obamacare time and time and time again?
Everyone I have talked to has said that, but also there is an additional factor that's coming up on Capitol Hill, J.D. Several members of the Senate, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, among them, have offered alternative plans. And it will not just simply be a repeal vote that comes up, it will be something new. And out of this, the Republican Party can sculpt a plan of its own for 2016. Many people believe that there was a sigh of relief that could be heard on Capitol Hill among Republicans because there's no burden on them to come up with the alternative, and they have breathing room for 2016. One thing we have to remember, the Senate can repeal and pass all at once. As long as Barack Obama sits in that office there, it will not be signed into law.
Well, mindful of that, still you have 3 Republican senators at last count running for the presidential nomination of the GOP. Is it possible we will see those 3 collaborate on an alternative plan, or are they going to leave this to other committees and to those who have to deal with this directly via jurisdiction?
I think you will find Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, and Ted Cruz very involved in the issue, but already there are senators, again, I mentioned Bill Cassidy of Louisiana with his Patient Freedom Act, who have done the heavy lifting on this. I will predict here and now, J.D., that the eventual package that comes out as the anti-Obamacare or the Republican plan will be market-oriented. It will end mandates, and it will allow much more competitive purchasing of health care plans. And those will be the highlights the eventual Republican nominee will underscore as the election year progresses.
And that, when you talk about the purchasing power, that means what? Knocking down the barriers to buy health insurance across state lines?
Yes, exactly.
All righty. We will leave it there. As always, John Gizzi, we appreciate your insights, your analysis, and your trademark fedora that you wore again for us tonight at Newsmax.com. My friend, have a great weekend. We really appreciate it.
Okay, you too, J.D. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, indeedy. Now, as mentioned earlier in our broadcast, developments continue to come in the search for those 2 escaped convicts in New York State. Richard Matt, one of the 2 fugitives shot and killed by police in a remote area of Franklin County, New York. For the latest on this, continue to monitor our parent website, Newsmax.com. So, obviously, a lot going on this week. What does next week portend? Well, just a word of friendly advice. Rest up. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back here Monday night. For now, stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.